No one would have believed in the last years of the 19th century that human affairs were being watched from the timeless worlds of space. Minds immeasurably superior to ours regarded this earth with envious eyes, and slowly and surely they drew their plans against us.
Well, I was reading a lot of different books, and The War of the Worlds was the only one at that point in time that I could, on one read, sort of hear sound. Not the melodies or anything like that, but it just excited me from what H.G. Wells created. And I could hear as a musician, as a composer, as a producer, ideas already that excited me. And that was really the start of it. Found out more after reading the book what other people had done to the War of the Worlds, and it was always set in contemporary America. The characters, the storylines had been changed around fairly substantially. Nothing wrong with that. That was their take on the story.
We take you now to Grover's Mills, New Jersey.
Martian cylinders are falling all over the country. One outside of Buffalo, one in Chicago.
It was a brilliant radio production when you think of how it was conceived and the amount of people in the United States that were absolutely terrified by it. It was so believable.
It came rather as a great surprise to us that a story about a mythical invasion by monsters from the planet Mars should have had so profound an effect upon radio listeners.
But it wasn't what I wanted to do. I couldn't do a radio play. It wasn't a soundtrack to a movie because there was no film attached to it. So I was very conscious of, without selling out to what I wanted to do as the composer and producer of a major work, I still was very conscious that if I was going to reach an audience through the medium of records, it had to work like a pop record.
At midnight on the 12th of August, a huge mass of luminous gas erupted from Mars and sped towards Earth. Across 200 million miles of void, invisibly hurtling towards us, came the first of the missiles that were to bring so much calamity to Earth.
The Eve of the War is chapter 1 of H.G. Wells' novel. That's what it's called. And it sets the tone of something's going to happen. To me, it was like an overture. It allowed me to set the tone of the music. It's more through the eyes of humanity. And that, in fact, when I use my symphonic string section, it's usually, almost always, in fact, when we're hearing it through the eyes of mankind. When it gets heavier and more electronic and aggressive, it's through the eyes of the Martians. So The Eve of the War is the overture. And within it we learn that the journalist has a good friend, Ogilvy, who's an astronomer, and he goes up to his observatory one night because he says there's something like a green flash going up in the sky, and Ogilvy turns to him and says, oh, don't worry, my friend. The chances of anything coming from Mars, they're 1,000,000 to 1. So I thought that's a natural to turn into a lyric, and it's the counterpoint to the fact that something is coming.
The chances of anything coming from Mars are 1,000,000 to 1, he said.
Have the string phrase that's always going dig-a-dung, dig-a-dung. That's the apprehension of something is coming, and we're being told nothing's coming. And in fact, with the War of the Worlds, the thing that I liked about it, it was that the Martians with their tentacles, that was H.G. Wells' criticism of the expanding British Empire, and that their power, their tentacles of power, in anybody's hands, if it's wrongly used, is wrong. It's quite relevant today when you look at our crazy world.